Hey everybody, this is Mr. Danzel, and we are going to be continuing Chapter 2. In the next couple of lessons, we're going to be manipulating text. We're also going to be working with gradients as well. So for this first lesson, we need file AI2-3. You're going to find that in the Handouts folder. And this is the file that you should have open. And once we have this file open, there's a couple things we need to check on. Number one, we need to make sure that our swatches panel is visible. You can see mine is right over here. And then we're going to be using something called the Touch Type tool right here. So make sure that tool is selected. I'm going to show you some different things that the Touch Type tool can do. So with that, we can individually select letters, and there are 5 different things that we can do here. Number one, we can rotate letters by using that. We can scale the letter on the vertical scale, so make it go straight up and down. We can scale it on the horizontal scale as well, and notice that the other letters maintain their same proportion to it. We can also scale it proportionally. So if we grab the upper right hand corner, it keeps it in proportion. And we can kind of move it around using that button. Of course, I'm doing Control Z every time to go back to the original way that it looks. That works the same for all of these letters, and if you actually click inside the letter, you can move it around. Again, it kind of remains in proportion with everything else. But the upper right hand corner keeps the letter in proportion. The upper left hand corner makes it taller. This makes it wider. And this one allows you to kind of move it around in relation to all the other letters. And of course that one rotates. And the reason we needed the swatches panel open is because we're going to add color, fill color to all these letters here in a moment. So whatever letter you select, if you make sure that the fill is selected rather than the stroke, and then you click on that color, it's going to fill the letter with color. Okay, so I know this picture now looks quite a bit different than it just did on the video, but this is what you need to do. Spend the next few minutes adjusting all of the letters to make it look somewhat similar to this. The colors should be similar, all the letters should be in similar positions, and make those changes. And once you do, then you need to save it. At this point, we need to go into our H drive, and I want you to save this file as touch type. Save it as touch type, and then you can close it as we are done with it for now. Okay, the next file that we're going to work with is Berry Symposium. Hopefully you worked on that in the previous video, but we need to open it now. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that our guides are visible. If you go to View Guides, and if it says Hide Guides, then you're in good shape. You have what you need already. Next, we're going to create a 4-inch circle. You could try to use the rulers up here. What I'm going to do is hold down on Shift and create a circle. It may not be the right size, but if you then click on the circle, it will allow you to create another circle that is exactly 4 inches. I'm just going to then delete my first one, and we'll worry about the exact spot of this circle later, but it's going to eventually end up right in the center. Okay, we're going to then hide the guides. We're going to go to Window and Gradient. We need to make sure our gradient panel is visible. Then in the Swatches panel, we're going to go to the Blended Rainbow. So click on Blended Rainbow. And then we're going to go to the Gradient Panel Options button. Oops, I guess mine's already good. If this says Show Options, then you need to click it, but mine says Hide Options. Okay, then we're going to go to the yellow stop. This is called the Gradient Slider. We're going to click here. We're actually going to get rid of all of these stops here. If you click and pull it down, it will go away. We're going to get rid of all of them except the first and the last slider. And we need to make sure our selection tool is active. Okay, and we're going to add another stop on this slider. All you have to do is click down here, and we want it to be at 50%, so you can just type in 50 there. And then there are some diamond sliders up here. We're going to drag them around until we get to 50, or again, you can just type it in there. So they're going to be right in the middle of all of these stops. So this is what your circle should look like. Next, we're going to apply some different colors to this gradient and this gradient slider. So we're going to go with this middle one first, and you have to hold down on Alt to do this. So if we hold down on Alt and click on Squash, okay, it's going to change the color like that. I'm going to undo for a second. If you didn't hold down on Alt and you clicked on that, it would just fill it all with that color. So we're going to click on this middle slider, hold down on Alt. Okay, then we're going to do the same things with this end slider, except we're going to do black. And this slider, also going to do black. Again, you have to hold down on Alt or else that's not going to work correctly. Alright, we're going to adjust these colors a little bit more. I want you to double click here. It's going to open this and make sure we're in the color panel. And we're going to adjust these values. 5 here, 95, 95, and 3. Okay, so it's going to look a little bit like that. And then we need to go to this list, or type. We're going to change this to radial. Okay, we're going to adjust, click on this diamond. We're going to change its location to 87. And that is what your circle should look like. Okay, we need to go over here to the toolbox and find the scale tool right here. And we're actually going to double click that. We're going to type 65, and then we're going to click on copy. And it's going to create a new circle just like this. Keep it selected. And it has gradient stops as well. So on this first one, we're going to change it to white. Remember, you have to hold down on Alt to adjust that. And then we're going to go to the end stop. We're actually going to double click on it. And we want this one to be 0, 40, 50, and 0. Okay, so it should look very similar to this. Okay, this also this red stop right here, we need to delete it. You either click on that or just drag it down. Oops. Getting rid of it like that. This right here we need to change to 65. And once you've created a gradient, you can actually add it to the swatches panel. So we're going to drag it up here. And this is called New Gradient Swatch 1. We're going to double click it and we're going to name it Pinky. then click OK. And with that one still selected, we're going to click on this last stop here on the slider. Okay, we're going to add another color to our swatches here. If you click on this slider, it actually makes the color appear over here. Now, if we click on this, it changes the color in there. We don't necessarily want that, so I'm going to undo. But it did bring up this color panel. You might also be able to just go to View or Window and Color to bring up the color panel. But if we click on this slider, we want to drag that color in here. And if you double click on it, we can call it Pinky Ending. Just like that. Again, we don't necessarily want that. This is what we want right here. So you may have to go back to this. Okay, then we're going to click the selection tool. We're going to click the artboard to deselect that circle. We're going to click on the large circle. And this gradient we're also going to add here. And we're going to call that Crimson Gradient. And then we want to save our work. Okay, now we need to select both of these circles. We can't do a Control A because we've got other stuff on this. But if you click on one, if you use Shift to click on another, it will select both. We're going to go to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back. So we should now have text on top of those. Okay, then we're going to go to Object, Unlock All. Let's make sure everything is unlocked. And for all of the unlocked text objects, we're going to apply this Pinky Ending color to it. Just like that. Okay, then we need to, it may not be selected yet, but so click on this diamond text object, and we want to lock it again, so just click on that and lock that selection. Okay, then we need to show our guides like this. And if you've done all this correctly, there was a text object that we had way back at the beginning. If we go to show all, it should show up. So this berry text should show up. And we need to select it. We're going to go to Arrange and Bring to Front. Okay, so now it's on top of everything. We're going to go to Type and Create Outlines. And there's a swatch on here that we need to find. It's called Steel Gradient. Not actually sure which one that is. Okay, so I found steel right here. It looks like this one. So we click on that. Changes berry like that. Okay, then we need to deselect the outline, so just click somewhere else to get rid of it. And we are going to then move berry around. We're going to try to center it. You can also use the arrow keys to center it. That looks good right there. And save your work.